is on the way.
Yes, sir.
Help is on the way. Recently, I watched an episode of Dateline, which is one of my favorite pastimes. I looked at Dateline and I saw a guy who had been incarcerated over 24 years now. He was accused of killing a man in the subway of New York. And to all accounts, everything said he was guilty. He had confessed it. They had it on tape. He was with the guys who committed the crime. The evidence was all there. Everything said that he was guilty. But year after year, he would say, no, I'm not guilty. I didn't do this. Week after week, his mother would drive 2 hours to come see him in that prison. She kept on praying week after week. My son is going to get out of here eventually. He kept steadfast to his story. He didn't move on one point. So one fateful day, here's a young man, a reporter that read his story and said, man, there could be something about this. This guy keeps coming up here talking about he's innocent. He's been there 24 years. There's something about him that may be a little different. He might be innocent. So he goes up there and he interviews him and he's like, I'm not really sure. This guy, he could have killed that man. I'm not really sure. I've interviewed a lot of people. A lot of them have convinced me of their innocence, but they still ended up being guilty. So I just don't know. So he came back. He visited with him a few more times. He said, I think I believe this guy. So he went out and got a lawyer, a guy that he knew that could handle a case like this.
Amen.
The guy, this lawyer came up and he unearthed all this new evidence and found out that police were corrupt and they coerced this young man into giving his statement. And all of a sudden, the tide started to turn and he got the new trial and he was eventually acquitted. But some of us are living in that type of lifestyle right now. People have come up against us in every side of our lives, and we wonder, when do we get justification for some of the things that have come up against us? It seems like year after year, I'm always the one that has to stand up and defend myself. I didn't do that. I'm not that type of person, but yet and still, nobody seems to come to our defense and says, no, Sister Paula's not like that. She would not say that to you. There's no way you're going to falsely accuse her of being that type of person that you're saying that she is. Here we find Jesus now, Isaiah is announcing the coming of Jesus. He said he's going to be somebody who's going to be able to stand in the gap for you. He's going to be the one that's going to raise his hand up and say, Sister China's all right. All those things you said about her, behind her, about those things are not true. Sister Ramsey, no, I'm not going to allow you to say that type of thing about her because in my presence, because I understand who she is and who she belongs to. But when you are in a situation like that, you need to have a good representation, don't you? Amen. You need to have somebody that's going to be able to go in the courtroom and going to be able to handle themselves on your behalf. Here in the text, he says, behold, which announces something. He said, here I am, I'm about to send somebody who's going to be able to get you out of the predicament you are. He said, take notice to this man that I'm going to send you. I know you may have had public defenders before, you may have had lawyers before, you may have some people that they can come up and stand in the gap for you. He said, behold, this guy, when he comes, he's going to be able to straighten everything out for you. All the different things that are going on in your life, he'll be able to stand in the gap for you. But you have to have a good reference when you're coming into a place like this, when your back is against the wall, you're facing all this time, or you're facing this persecution. You need somebody that comes highly recommended, don't you? Something happens in your family, you're gonna call somebody who's been in that very same predicament that I can refer you to, man. Because I don't just want somebody. I don't want to end up like Mike Tyson, go up for a rape case and go get a tax lawyer. I don't want that kind of thing. I want know somebody's going to be able to handle themselves in this situation because, because I got all this money, I may not have the common sense that I need to get me out of the situation. I need somebody to recommend somebody who can handle themselves in that situation. Jesus said, I am the one who can handle myself in any situation. And he said, behold, I'm going to send somebody who's going to be able to handle themselves in your situation. Can I get a witness? Sometimes we're in that struggle and we think nobody hears us. When nobody cares about our situation, we'll end up being the same way we were before. Jesus said, no, this thing is going to be different this time. He said, I have your own best interests at heart. He said, I'm going to go and be the sacrifice for you. Yeah, I know you've been going through your struggles and different things have been going on in your life. He said, but I'm here now, and you will find the justice that you need. Right now, he said, many of us are suffering in our lives. Lack of income, especially around this time of year, our money gets funny and our change gets strange, don't it? We're trying to make that transition. Every week we're doing this juggling act, okay, am I going to pay this or I'm going to let this go? Well, I got to pay that because I let it slide last month. And then, but that gone, I said I was going to get my kids this new Xbox. They deserved it. They've been doing well in school. They got straight A's, but how am I going to put all this together? The struggle, it's real. Some of us, dealing with our unemployment. This job I've gave myself faithfully. 14 years of my life, 15 years of my life. Now is the time of year that they start doing the cutbacks. You see it. But thank God for the time when you're not the one who got his number called. But Jesus said, I'm about to stand in the gap for those ones who are broken in their spirit. Their families are broken and torn apart. He said, I'm about to be the one that's going to come back and hold all these things together. He said, don't worry about the struggles in which you're going through right now. He said, don't even worry about it, because baby, I got something that's going to be real, and you're going to be able to hold this thing, and I'm going to be able to hold this thing together in the midst of your struggle. He said, I'm coming to justify you in your situation. Yeah, I know, it looks bad now, but look about how far I brought you in all this year. Now, this time of year should be a time of celebration, but yet it falls into a state of depression, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. When we don't have the monies we need, the funny, our families is acting crazy. We don't have the food and stuff. We don't have enough food, and we don't. All these different things come up on us, and it's supposed to be a time of celebrating. He said, but I'm going to send somebody that's going to help you. But first, I got to fill you with my spirit. In this time of struggle, we got to be able to hold on to God in a time that we never held on to him before. He said, behold, I'm sending somebody, but I'm going to fill him with my spirit. So when I fill him with my spirit, he's going to come with something extraordinary to help you in your situation. This ain't going to be no ordinary man that's just going to be able to idly fall away when struggles come. He said, I'm putting my spirit upon him and in him, and he's going to be able to do everything that you need done in your situation. So you need somebody who comes highly recommended, right? But he said, wait a minute. He said, a bruised reed would not break. You cannot lose hope in the midst of your struggle. We get caught up in the season, right? And the bad part about it, but we're still celebrating the fact that we have a heavenly Father who hung, bled, and died on the cross for our sin. He said a bruised reed means somebody who's been mistreated. Somebody who's been mistreated, oppressed, or shattered in their spirit. He said, I'm going to be the one that's going to hold this thing together. I can see when you went through to some struggles in your life, folks that counted you out, people that came against you on your job, all these different things are going on here. I see the bruises and the lumps that you've taken in your life. But he said, I'm here to repair you and put that condition and make you whole again. Anybody here just trying to be whole again? I mean, I got a piece of me over here. I got a piece of me over there. I got something going on over here. You know, I just come up with my check engine light come on. All these things are coming on at me at one time. This is a time I'm supposed to be celebrating the fact that I got something on the other side that's waiting on me. He said, Jesus said, I'm going to come and I'm going to put this thing together for you. But he said, man, but your spirit is broken. So I got to start putting you back together. But I got to be a living sacrifice and able for you to be able to see, man, I got you. But I got to start putting you back together, right? He said, you know, you didn't think about it in a candle, for those who love those candles, a broken wick. We see when the wick is split or broken, it's no more good. We just throw the candle away, right? It's no more use to us. It's not in a condition where we can utilize it in the way it was supposed to be used, right? But he said, no. He said, check this out. He said, I'm going to keep that. I'm gonna put my arm around that and make sure that wick don't grow out. I know you done gave up. Some of y'all done gave up on the church. Some of y'all done gave up on some of the people in your lives and all. He said, man, I know you've been bruised and you've been broken, but tell me this. He said, I'm gonna be able to want to put this thing back together because I believe in you. Under the suffering that you've been through in your life, he said, don't worry about it. I got you covered, right? But he said that broken wick now, it represents no value in its present condition. And most would just discard it because there's no value there. But God sees value in your brokenness. He said, I see something in you. I know that in the present condition, somebody may not be able to use it. The candle may not even smell like it's supposed to smell. It's not, every time I light it, the thing falls over and not doing what it's supposed to be doing. But he said, I see something in that. Because of the time somebody took to put it together. Think about it. When you put that candle together, it's got to go through various stages. It's got that hot wax, and then it's got to be molded and shaped. The wick's got to be put in there, then it's got to sit, right? For the perfect time for for it to be ignited. And when it's ignited, it starts to do what it's supposed to do. But then that wick starts to get dashed, and you're like, man, this thing's no useful. We just throw it away, right? But most of us have had our hopes dashed and our desires just snuffed out happening. Some of the things we're going through in our lives, we would start out with great anticipation, but, somewhere along the line, it kind of gets off, really, don't it? I had that dream, open up a business or whatever it was, but when I got so on fire for that thing, but when it didn't come as I thought it would, my wick is starting to go out. I'm starting to lean a little bit. I'm starting to become unproductive in my life now because of the one thing that I held on to that didn't come, right? Our fire is about to go out because of the things that are going on in our life. We started off on fire. We jumped into the church. We wanted to jump into everything that was going on. We was busy. But all of a sudden, a few things go on in your life, and that wick, starts to go out. That fire you had in the first place now starts to go out. But what happened? What happened in the midst of the fire that got started in the first place? What in the world got you to a point where you were so excited in the first place, now all of a sudden you fall back? Is God moving? Is it you moving? God says, hold on to my unstable hand. He said, my hand is stable. But in the midst of the things that go on in our life, we let go, don't we? Because the things we don't feel like is going right in our life, somehow we equate that to God moving. God didn't move. He said, I stand right there. My word's still the same. But all of a sudden, we don't believe the same thing we believed before. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. Yeah. But why am I sitting going through this? He said, I'll never put on you more than you can bear. Wait a minute. So the scripture didn't change, so who changed? In the midst of all the brokenness that's going on in my life, I'm switching. So I got to get my fire back for the Lord and get back on track because God is not moving until we move. He said, man, look, I'm standing right here. My hand is extended to you. You still have to do what you've been called to do, right? Amen. He said, don't let your fire go out, right? But he said, now, when he comes down, he said, okay, I will not let your reed be broken, right? In essence, what he said is, I'm going to put my cup around the wick. Think about it. When you go to a prayer vigil or something like that, and the wick is barely lit and the wind is blowing and all that, the first thing you do is put your hand around it. He said, I'm going to put my hand around you in the midst of your struggles. So I'm going to make sure that your light don't go out. I'm going to put my hand around you because I need even just a dim light that's burning. He said, I want to see just that dimness in that. He said, because eventually when I put my hand around it, now it's not being affected by the things that's around it, right? So the wind is not going to be able to come up against it. Even if it's raining, baby, I can put my hand on top of it. Your fire should not go out because I've got my hand around you now. In the midst of everything that's going on, just remember that God's hand is around you and all your struggles that are going on. He said, I'm not going to let your fire go out, baby. You trying to let it go out. You trying to turn your back on me. Every chance you get, you trying to turn the other way. He said, but now I got my hand around you, baby, and I cupped you. And he said, I got you in the midst of your struggle. He said, don't worry about what's going on. He said, I will not let your light go out. No matter what's going on in your life, you done turned your back away from me. You done turned away from the church and everything about it. He said, but I still see something down in the inside of you that other folks don't see. That little light is still down in the burn. It's just flickering right now. But I'm going to put my hand around you and you're going to be able to feel my presence around you. Then you're going to be able to get to a place where you're going to be able to be blessed, right? He said, that's what I'm going to do for you because I see something in you. That same fire that you had before, I see it in you and I can't let that die. Don't let your fire die. Just remember that whenever you're going through something, you just sit back and say, man, God got his hand around me. I know it don't seem like I'm tired, I'm disgusted, I'm going through all these different things. I can't get my husband to do right. My wife's acting a fool, my kids are doing. He said, but I still got my hand on you. And we need to celebrate God for just keeping his hand around us in the midst of all our struggles. You know, we done said some things as we've done some things we weren't supposed to be doing, but God said, I still see enough down in you that I'm going to keep my hand over you, right? Jesus. But he said, in the midst of everything that's going on, hold on to God, right? He said he will not be disheartened or crushed until he's established justice. Now, what in the world does that mean? He said, don't get disheartened. He said, God will not fail you in the midst of your show. God is not going to be some topsy-turvy, guy that gets discouraged and walks off. When he comes into the church, he sees 2 or 3 people, and he's not going to be the one that turns around and goes back home. He's going to come out to the front of the church and start getting his worship on because he understands this is holy ground. No matter what, if there's 20 people in here or 2, he said, well, 2 or 3 in the midst, there I am also. In the midst of your struggle, you got to understand that God is still with you. He said, don't worry about all the different things that are going on around you. Just concentrate on what's going on in you. I have deposited something on the inside of you that nobody can get away. He said, don't get disheartened, right? He said, but you're going to have to persevere to the end. There are going to be some struggles that you're going to go through in your life. You got to be able to hold on to God whatever things are going on and just know in the end, he's going to still be there, holding on to your hand, dragging you through the whole scenario. Yeah, you're going to have to go through some things, but he said, don't worry about it, just persevere. Hold on. Don't get disheartened. Don't go to that's the seed of the enemy in your life. When you start to get discouraged, that ain't of God. The enemy has gotten in your head just a little bit. I guarantee you, 2 or 3 people are standing there now. They're thinking about all the different things that are going on outside the church as opposed to what's going on inside. Why ain't she here? I woke him up 5 times. He still didn't get up. Why is this going on? Why is that? All these different things that get you distracted from the presence of God. Imagine if I just waited until we had 2 or 3 people, 200 or 300 people there to really start preaching like I had some sense. There's still folk coming in here ready to eat, right? We got to feed them, right? He said, you got to persevere. He said, well, wait a minute. I'm going to be determined to establish justice here on earth. So even when you feel like you've been in a place where you've been vilified all your life, you've always been the black sheep of your family, and all this kind of things are going on, he said, I'm going to be the one who's going to put a stamp on your life, baby. I don't care if you don't never get somebody to come back in and tell you they sorry for what they done way you think they should. He said, I am still going to continue the work that I set out to do in your life because that's my job. He said, all that other stuff that's going on, I'm not going to get discouraged about it. I don't care if it's 10 people in there. I don't care if it's 300 people in there. I'm still going to do what thus says the Lord because I have a mission to accomplish while I'm there. You got that same mission in your life. You got to make sure you're doing everything that God has called you to do in the midst of your struggle. Yeah, the enemy's going to come up and throw all kind of stuff on you. Somebody going to go outside and have some bald head tires. The struggle that we go through is real, right? But he said, on top of that, he said, I will not falter. Think about it. He said, I will not falter in the job I have come to do to repair your life. I have come here for a reason. He said, I'm not going to be dismayed. I don't care if you turn your back on me. I don't care if you didn't pray this morning. I'm still going to do what I have been called here to do. And I want you to follow the same example that I'm following here because God has given me something. I'm now depositing that same thing into you. And I understand, I'm going to get dismayed sometime. And there's going to be some things that are going to come across you. You're going to be able to scratch your head. But he said, in the midst of all that, I'm not going to falter. I am not going to fail you. And a lady called me the other day. She said, why in the world do I have to go through all these different struggles in my home and all this? But I said, because one of the things that happens is we focus so much on the person and we forget that what God is doing in the midst. He said, trust not in man, only in me. So when you try to get your feel good from somebody else, God has said, man, I'm the only one who can get you to the place that you need to be. He said, don't worry about those kind of things. He said, but focus on the task at hand. Whatever situation is going on in your life, you got to make sure that you focus on the task at hand. God said, man, you're getting too perplexed with some of the things that are going on. He said, watch and see what I do when I come down there. He said, I'm coming down to do something in this place. Justice will be served. I'm going to stamp your name on it, baby, because I am the one who have come to do that very work in your life. He said, God sent me here for a purpose. He said, I'm going to do exactly what I came here to do. But then he said, I'm not going to rest until you're free. I'm not going to rest until you're free. Some of us in here are, we're in a tug of war in our spirit. Back and forth we go. We're tugging with the enemy. Wondering, when was my breakthrough going to come? When am I going to get to that place where I can just be excited about my life? When am I going to be in that place where I can just be happy that I'm married to this person? When am I going to be happy that my kids are starting to act right? When am I going to be the one that's going to be called up when my kids is on the honor roll? When in the world am I going to get the breakthrough that I'm at everything in my life is broke? My hip, my knee, I'm broke, and my money, my car that got ran into, everything I look around to as a disaster. But God says, I'm about to set you free because of who I am. God sent Jesus here for a reason. And that reason was to set us free. He said, I put my spirit upon him so he may be able to do the work that he's been called to do. God deposited something into Jesus. So Jesus was able to walk this earth and do the work that he was called to do because of the power that was given to him. God is gave you that same power today. Yes. Somebody in here is sitting back. Their fire is about to go out for the Lord. We look at the news every day and we see somebody else that got shot. Somebody else something else that went on. And we sit back, we're despondent, wondering, who's going to be next? Is it going to be my family member? Is it going to be me next time? But we sit back, we wait, but we don't do nothing about it. Today is your day to turn the tide in your life.